What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So as y'all know, today is indeed Wednesday, which means a new summit is now live here in Motorfest. And well, this one is the last summit until the entire main stage is actually over, at least for this month, until we do end up getting into October. Now for this one, guys, we are actually going to have a pretty dope looking Porsche Taycan. Have to admit, this car is actually pretty sweet. Not gonna lie though, like not the biggest fan of the regular Taycan, so I will test this one out, and I do feel like it's actually going to be fairly decent. On top of that, I feel like the entire summit is going to be decently fun with a good amount of events in there that's also going to be a tad mixed up, even though I feel like most of the races players probably have seen them. But hey, at least we are going after a pretty dope looking car, right? Besides that, guys, we're also going to have a slalom, a buoy smashing, and a speed trap. We're then going to have one Street Tier 1 event. We're then going to have three Tier 2 events and then two Hypercar races. So the first thing I did want to talk about here is going to be the Slalom, the Buoy Smashing, and the Speed Trap. So for the Slalom, guys, I would say these are going to be incredibly straightforward at this point. For me, I actually decided to run the Yamaha YZ450F, which is indeed going to be a motocross bike. Still got 129,000 points. The big thing about the Slalom in this one, and this can probably also go for the Speed Trap here, is going to be the traffic. They are definitely going to be pretty annoying. Speaking of the Speed Trap, guys, for this I did actually use the lovely Dodge Viper SRT10. For this, simply switch into a plane, fly over the main objective, land, go down the road toward the end of the circle, then turn around back toward it. Go toward that, guys. Before that last turn, make sure you guys are in 5th gear, hit the nitrous, and you're basically good to go. Again, I would say the biggest issue with this is probably going to be the traffic. Besides that, we're then going to have a buoy smashing. I found this one to be pretty dang easy, to be honest. When it does come to the vehicle choice, I would say you could probably run any of them. I actually did end up using the Proto WR1, which is probably one of the best power boats, at least, so far I would probably guess that. I got 129,000 points, guys, with 94,000 points in the event, running a score breaker set. I would actually guess you don't have to run that because this person has 73,000 points and still got 129k. So at least you're not going to have 100,000 points on it to truly get a super high score. To be honest, I really hope they actually fix the scoring on these in the future. Besides that, though, moving over to the events, the first one I'll start with is going to be Ricky Martinez's favorite. This is going to be with the 911 Director's Cut Edition. It's actually a pretty dope car. I like it. I don't know if it's going to be the best Tier 1 vehicle, but I have to admit, this thing is pretty dope. Funny thing is, you're also going to be doing this track on the dirt, which is going to be the circular dirt track to be exact. So do keep in mind you're actually going to be sliding everywhere. And big tip on this one, by the way, guys, the one thing I did notice, yes, the car is going to probably slide a bit. So I would actually recommend heading over to driver, going over to legend points, and going over to the one that does say drifty. It's actually going to be incredibly helpful. Max this one out, it's going to give you a 10% boost while drifting. Believe it or not, when you're actually going around the dirt track, you're probably going to slide a bit. But when you're actually drifting, you're then going to get even more nitrous on top of it. That way you can basically nitrous through the corners. And then you're also going to be getting even more nitrous on top of it, so you can keep using it, making you even faster, which of course is going to get you a better time overall in the event. And then for the next event, though, we're going to have the lovely Porsche 918 Spyder Silvery Edition. Going to be honest right now, I actually love this car. It's probably one of my favorite hypercars in the game. This thing handles incredibly well. It's going to be decently quick. And overall, I have to admit, it's going to be a pretty dang fun car to drive. For this one, though, there is going to be lots of corners in it. There's also some places to where, well, you're probably going to fly around that corner. You could go off the road. So do be careful, guys, and make sure you cut them to make you even faster. For the most part, I feel like a lot of players really are going to be shocked by this car if they have never really driven it. Besides that, we're then going to have the next event here with a Tier 2 Porsche of your choice. Okay, so for this one, I do know everyone's probably going to drive the 911 GT, which I have to admit is going to be a great option. But right now, I'm going to admit you have to try the 911 Carrera 4S Timeless Edition. This car is so dang dope, man. I've actually been messing around with my pro settings a bit more, which I will have an entire, timestamp, guys, if you are interested in checking it out. definitely try out the Timeless Edition. This car, I think, is slept on. The overall acceleration is going to be fantastic on it, and it's also going to handle incredibly well, specifically with the settings I have on this thing. I'm actually not going to lie, I may even run this car in the future summits when it's going to be a no restriction Street Tier 2 event to see how it can do in them. It is legit going to be that impressive. And then for the next event though, which is going to be the Bugs Killer, you'll then have to use the Hoonigan Porsche Scotto's 911 Turbo RWB. This is actually going to be a pretty dope car. I love the actual design of it. Have to admit, even if some of the cars in this game aren't all that great, I still love the way some of them look, which is probably why I run them in certain events, even though they're not going to be the best option. For this one though, guys, do not be afraid to use your nitrous as much as you possibly can, and do keep in mind on this event specifically, there's going to be a huge cut, which I will indeed show in the background. This is going to shave a lot of time off your overall score. Make sure you guys hit it. Then again, the 911 Turbo is not that great off-road, so also be careful, and definitely watch out for actually spinning out and stuff, because that can mess it up. But do not forget to hit that entire cut, because it will make you that much quicker. That's also why you're going to see people getting in like the 250s on it, or even lower, instead of getting around 310 or 315, is going to be because of that gigantic cut in the event. The next one though, guys, we're going to then have to use a hypercar that's going to be your choice. For this one, I decided to run something different. I do know the Agera R is going to be great, the Gendo Dici is great, the new Porsche 919 Street is also pretty dang good, which by the way, stay tuned for the video on that car coming Thursday morning. Looking forward to actually testing it and driving it a bit. But for me though, I did end up using the Lamborghini Revuelto. I've actually not really used this car that much. I decided to do a few runs on it, mess with the pro settings, and you know what? I am pretty dang impressed with it. The best part is I could probably go back in and do this one a few more times and probably get around 1.8 or so. I was actually using the wrong chemist set for a few of the runs, but getting 110 with my first run with an actual chemist set on it, running pure and extra pump, I got 1 minute and 10 seconds. Not too shabby, but there is going to be room for improvement. But definitely try out the Revuelto instead of running to the Agera R, even though that car is that good. Now moving over to the final event here in the summit though is going to be with the lovely Taycan Turbo S Thunder Edition. That is actually going to be the new Porsche, and I would say overall from the event itself, it actually seems pretty decent, man. Like, I'm definitely going to have to test it out more. I would say the base settings on it and the overall base level, it's not a terrible vehicle. For this event though, there is a few tips I definitely want to give. There is actually going to be a few different cuts in this one, which I would say players know about. But do be careful when turning around over the curbs and stuff like that, because the car can spin. And I notice it kind of gets a bit fishtaily if you do turn over the curbs. Just a tad too much. Like, I noticed going over them, try to keep the car straight. That way the car's not going to want to fight you like a fidget spinner, which we all do know isn't going to be a fun experience. Overall though, guys, I do think a lot of players are going to enjoy this summit, and I would actually say from driving the Turbo S Thunder Edition just one time in this event, I would definitely say it is worth going after. Overall though, if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below. Let's jump right into this.